What's up, everybody? It is the Best Bod Kid Smooth, and I am back with another video. And today we're going to be talking about my top 10 games of 2020, man. What a better way to close out the year of 2020. It's been a rough year, but there were some great games that managed to launch, and we're going to talk about it. Now, there's going to be obvious games that didn't make the list for many reasons. Either I didn't play them, or I couldn't get into them, or I just simply didn't like them. So these are games, consist of games I've either putting over 20 hours into, and we will reveal my personal game of the year in this video right here. So relax, sit back, and be ready for one of the best top 10s of the year. Let's get into it. Number 10 on my list is no other than the game Battletoads by Dala Studios and Rare. This is, one of those smaller games that Xbox released earlier this year, and this game made this list in an unconventional way because when the game was first revealed, well, when we first actually saw it, the initial announcement had everybody excited, but when we first got a glimpse of gameplay, no one was really interested because of the cartoony graphics, the goofy tone. We were expecting maybe what we saw in Rash's appearance in Killer Instinct, something more photorealistic, and we didn't get that. But and so with that, everybody kind of assumed this game would be like mediocre. Like I even predicted like a 58 Metascore, and to everyone's surprise, the game actually did a lot better than we expected. I think it's in the 70s in the Metascore, but when I actually played it, I enjoyed what I played, and I completed it, and the game was like this nice balance of challenging, this nice balance of beat 'em up, platforming, puzzles, or quick time events. It offered just a thing enough for a multitude of players. It is a perfect party game, especially for the holidays when you're at home with family. A nice couch co-op game to play. This is a game that I definitely recommend. The biggest knock against this game, honestly, is the lack of online co-op. When you're releasing games, it's 2020, you got Xbox Live, you got to have some sort of online functionality, and the fact that there was no online co-op really sort of hurt the game, because a game like this can be challenging and you're gonna want assistance. So it looks like you're gonna have to get it from friends and family in the same house. But given obviously 2020, COVID, all this other stuff, the game should have had an online functionality, and that's what really killed the game. It did multiple things. It didn't do them perfectly, but it did them good enough, and it earned a 10 spot because if I've beaten maybe 26 games this year, I played over 50 games this year, but this one was a standout because it did better. Much better than what I expected it to do, even after its announcements, and it became a game I had to recommend. So check out Battletoads. It came out, it's available on Game Pass, and it's if you need a game over the holidays, over the break, play with kids, play with friends, with a date, Battletoads is a nice option. Number 9 on my list is a bit controversial because, well, technically it launched in 2019, but it did have a relaunch this year, and that is no other than Gears 5 Game of the Year Edition. Now, this game, recently the game came out in 2019. It relaunched with the Xbox Series X, and with that relaunch, we've got the Gears 5 Hive Busters DLC, which is a story expansion. So it's another story content. We got New Game Plus. We have Inconceivable difficulty, which is a harder difficulty that didn't exist before. You got a graphics overhaul with the new systems, and just a lot of quality of life improvements to the game that kind of adds new life to the game. And of course, I've replayed through the game. I'm done an additional run through the main campaign, and of course, I've done like 2 runs through Hive Busters, which is an awesome campaign. The only thing about it's on a shorter side, but it's DLC. So if this the reason why it's number 9, now Gears 5, if I did a video like this last year, which I didn't get to put it out in time, Gears 5 would have been number 1 or number 2 on the list of 2019 releases. But because of this additions and, you know, the content refreshes, the updates to the game, and the re-release of the Game of the Year edition for 2020, I could not put it past, you know, number 9. Sure, it's an amazing game, and some might add that it's better than a lot of the games that may follow this game on a list, but due to technicality, this game did come out in 2019, but the content that I'm talking about is 2020 releases, so it does earn a spot in the 2020 list. Great game. But the main game is great. The Hive Busters DLC is awesome, and because it's like not the longest game, the pacing is just awesome. There's this non-stop action throughout. The characters are dope. The new multiplayer elements to the game is dope. The new game plus to add replayability to these campaigns is a great addition. Of course, if you got a new generation system such as the Xbox Series X and the Series S, you're getting 120 frames per second in online, and you're getting 4K support, graphics overhaul with these crazy textures that they're doing. It looks great. You will not be disappointed with this game. This game is available in Game Pass, or you can buy it separately. Number 8 on the list is now, man, I have to give it to them. It's Raw Fury's Call of the Sea. Now, this was a late launch. This game launched in December this month, actually. And this is, if you guys, hope you guys checked out my review. It's pretty much a walking sim, story-based game relative to the games like, you know, Firewatch, the Turing Test. We follow the story is about Nora, who's on a quest to find her husband, who got lost pretty much at sea on the expedition, looking for the cure for this disease that she's dealing with. The story has a crazy twist, which leads to an interesting climax at the end of the game. The game offers beautiful visuals on the graphic side, some interesting deep thought puzzles, and just overall a compelling, nice story, and it's an overlooked game. This game is available on Game Pass. I don't think many people have played it, but if you want to like earn, you know, anywhere from 800 to 1,000 gamer score, and, you know, in probably 5 hours, this is the game. This game, the time to take this game to beat is determined on how proficient you are with the puzzles. Some of them are challenging. This game requires you to pay attention as a player, but I fell in love with this game. I spent maybe 2 days on it, just playing it without, you know, touching other games, and I just had a wonderful time. It definitely earned the number 8 spot on my list of games of 2020. Number 7 on the list is Minecraft Dungeons. Now, I said for the first 6 months of the year, Minecraft Dungeons was in my top 3 running for a game of the year with some other games, but obviously the rest of the year played out, other games came out, but Minecraft Dungeons still remains in the top 10. This is a fun game, dungeon game in the Minecraft universe. Graphically, it's obviously it's Minecraft graphics, but it looks good. The sprites, the colors, all this game needs is an Xbox Series X enhancement with the ray tracing added. Once it gets that, I would, you know, jump right back in. But this game has been supported all throughout the year with DLC expansions. It's fun. It's up to 4 players co-op. You can play either couch or online. There's a lot of stuff going on. The difficulty range is insane. The game can be either easy or the game can be super difficult because it's meant for you to keep playing multiple stages multiple times and keep looting and keep upgrading. And they just did a good job. Minecraft, the Minecraft universe is the perfect game for one of these dungeon crawler type games. And this is one of the first that I've kind of gotten through, believe it or not, in a long time, because I typically don't play these type of games, but I like Minecraft. I like the universe of Minecraft, and the dungeon games I don't hate them. I'll get through them, but I'll never sit through it and play the entire thing. Minecraft Dungeons, I did that, and I would love to do it again, and I will do it again as they keep adding content to this game. It's a beautiful game, a fun game, especially with friends, up to 4 players, co-op online. This is something that Battle Toads didn't do, which is why it's not higher on this list. But Minecraft Dungeons also offers crossplay with other devices, Nintendo Switch, PC, and I believe PlayStation is on that list. So the player pool is large and the game is fun. It's a fun game. Number 7 definitely is Minecraft Dungeons. And I've been playing, obviously I played the game on the Nintendo Switch. I played it on the Xbox One, and I gave it a little stab on Xbox Series X as well. Now, number 6 on my list has to be Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Man, this is like the first time that Call of Duty has been on like my top games list in like forever. But I gotta give credit where credit is due. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War provided a remarkable campaign, which was cool to play through. It added content to make it multiple playthrough the way that things played out. Visually stunning. It was one of the first games to take full advantage of what the PS5 and Xbox Series S can offer, and that's 4K 60 ray tracing and 120 frames per second mode, and in both campaign and multiplayer, which was very, very impressive. Now, there was some technical issues associated with this game for others, but if you got a fully functioning playable version of this game, it was great. And it was, for the first time in a long time, me enjoying both aspects of Call of Duty, whether it be the campaign and the multiplayer. And usually it's the campaign is usually one and done, and I don't touch the multiplayer because I suck at it. But this time around, the campaign was pretty much maybe 2 and done, and the multiplayer is decent. And I'm not a Warzone player, so this was a sort of pretty welcoming to have the game have a fun and playable multiplayer, as well as a remarkable campaign. So Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War gets the number 6 spot on my list for games of 2020. Interesting times. Now we are in the top 5, my top 5 games of 2020. We're getting closer and closer to that game of the year. Number 5 is Watch Dogs Legion. Yeah, this is very, very a shocker. Like, Watch Dogs Legion was one of the biggest surprises to me because I had zero expectations for this game when it was announced, and it was literally like a late scratch. Actually, I didn't decide. I only decided I was buying it because it was coming out close to new consoles and whatnot. But I was blessed to get a review code, and I didn't even get to play it on the next generation consoles. I had to play it on the Xbox One X, and even then I was very impressed. Visually, it looked great. I mean, they enhanced it for the Series X, S, and PS5, adding ray tracing. I just had a great time with this game. The down part was, it's still 30 frames per second, but the city, London, the characters, the fact that they managed to tell the story and get the story across, no matter which character you played, it didn't seem to interfere with how you played the game. With the different arrays of styles you can play, whether you're going through completely stealth or like shooting up or just tackling missions straight on, it offered enough diversity. Now, sure, the game can get repetitive, but in my experiences with all the Watch Dogs games, Watch Dogs Legion is definitely the best and my favorite of the games in a trilogy or a series. Now, of course, to experience Watch Dogs Legion, you do not have to play any of the previous ones. This one takes place in a complete different city, complete different characters, complete different objective. But it's just one of those games you probably shouldn't miss out on. This is an easy 30-hour experience, and for those who like to collect everything, you'll have a blast with this game. And this game is goofy, it's fun. It doesn't take itself serious, but it is a shockingly good game. Number 4 on the list, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, this release was also a surprise. It was announced when the PS5 was revealed, and we got which we thought it's not Spider-Man 2. It is like a standalone experience, but it was a amazing experience. Spider-Man Miles Morales. The only thing that's keeping this game from like being game of the year is because I guess it's too much like the first one, and I don't know. Miles Morales, I like him better than Peter Parker. I like his story. I love the origins of the story, the characters introduced in this game. Visually, the game looks amazing. I played it on the PlayStation 5. Insomniac did a good job pretty much putting these PS5 features into this game. You can play this game at 60 frames per second or 4K ray tracing, and then they later added a 60 frames ray tracing mode, which is also just dope looking. Incredible game all throughout. It's the best implementation of ray tracing that we have on console. The game was a nice quick game you can beat. A lot of people have platinum did. I haven't, but I did enjoy my time with the game. I don't really have much really to say about it. I went through it. I will probably go back to finish up some collectibles, but overall it was a great game, and I downplayed the game for the most part before it released as like DLC. It's much more than DLC. I think Insomniac did a good job, and if you guys remember, a couple years ago, Spider-Man 2018 landed at maybe number 2 on my list. So number 4 for Miles Morales is about right. It was a great game. The combat, the visuals, the story, the storyline itself. They did enough to separate it from the original Spider-Man game, and it did more than what I was expecting, because like I said, my impressions was, oh, this is just glorified DLC, and it's a lot more than just glorified DLC. It's definitely, for me, the number 4 best game of 2020, and it's available for the PlayStation 5 and PS4 if you're still gaming on last gen. Number 4, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Get it today if you haven't, man. This is an incredible experience. All right, number 3 on the list is Game of the Year contender for sure. Runner-up, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Man, I had high expectations for this game, and sure, they did deliver. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, man, I'm just in love with the gameplay, the visuals, the presentation, the Viking setting, playing as like the male Eivor. The storyline just stuck out. I enjoyed it. I'm still struggling between which is my favorite of the last three that just came out. But Valhalla left a strong impressions on me, especially on the newer consoles, being able to run at 60 frames per second, and delivering this nice visual upgrade throughout the entire pretty much playthrough. Sure, it's Assassin's Creed. It's another game, another open world, a lot of stuff to do. The toughest thing about this game is that players will find is that they'll find themselves overwhelmed, whether it be because looting chests and raiding and just random encounters that are not really a part of the story. And that's part of the reason why it took me about 96 hours to complete the story. Now, I didn't complete the entire game, meaning get every order member, loot everything. I'm sure that's going to be another 40 hours itself, but completing the main story and doing like pretty much 50% of the treasures and fighting, like finding 80% of all the order members and stuff like that, is a lot to do in a game. They find this way of bringing the player back. So me, even though I beat the story, I still have this want to go back and I'll clean up some tidy work that I left behind, because the game is just full of content. And if you know what they did with Origins and Odyssey, expect Valhalla to have at least 3 expansion passes to kind of carry this game over the next year or 2. But it is a great game. If you're a person that plays maybe 1 or 2 games at a time, make sure Assassin's Creed Valhalla is one of those games, because it is a cool game. It's visually is one of the best looking games we got this year. The performance on next gen consoles is also impressive. The story is great, and it gives you its money's worth. You're paying $60-$70 for these games, and you're going to spend a lot of time with this game, especially if you enjoy it. Now, if you're not a fan of the last 2, you're not going to like them. You're not going to like Valhalla. It's more of the same, just different setting. I just happen to like the setting and the story that was told. It's definitely a Game of the Year contender for me. You're wondering, I'm speaking high praise praise of this game. I've been talking about the game ever since before its release. It was one of my most anticipated games of the year. Why is it at number 3? Well, there's other games that came out that did more things that had more impact than this game. Not to say that Valhalla is bad. It's not bad at all. If I was to give you a review score on this game right now, it would be a 9 out of 10. So spoiler, if I was going to do a standard review, my score for Valhalla would be a 9 out of 10 for sure. I enjoyed this game. It's number 3 on my list because the other 2 games, well, they just did something just a little bit better. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, number 3. And number 2 is actually the game of the year, The Last of Us Part 2. And yes, personally, it is my game of the year as well. It's this game just done so much in terms of from a technical standpoint. Now, if you sit back and you judge this game as a video game, which most people refuse to do, you will understand why this game is getting, the awards, the accolades and everything. But from a game standpoint, graphically, this game was a preview of next generation. Gameplay was superb. The accuracy of animations was next level. The story, despite what you may feel about decisions that were made and how it played out, it does not change the fact that it was a great story. It was an amazing story, beyond great. And that's why it's so polarizing. People either hate it or love it. But regardless of the story, it doesn't change whether the game is good or bad. The game is just outright awesome. Now, this is my game of the year, and you're probably like, why is it number 2? This game has maintained was my favorite game up until just recently, and that's when we'll get to the next game. But it's still my game of the year on the technicality. It's still my game of the year, and it's the public's game of the year. But there's not really much more to be said. It is, in my review, I did say it is the best game or the greatest game I don't want to play again. And with that being said, the down parts of the game is that the game is longer than what it needs to be. It's actually a little too long. They probably cut out 12 hours. And the fact that it was just too stressful, too emotion driven. It's an experience that you're happy to say, oh, I experienced that game. So that's why Last of Us 2 is my number 2. It is game of the year. Now let's talk about number 1. Now, the number 1 game on my top games of 2020 is Immortals Fenyx Rising. And this was honestly just kind of recent. All right, so let's talk about Immortals Fenyx Rising, right? It's the most unique game Ubisoft has done in a little while. Visually, Ubisoft, they don't make bad looking games. It looks great. It is vibrant, it's colorful. It has mass appeal to who's ever playing it. This game was formerly known as God and Monsters. It's Greek mythology, and you are a mortal, pretty much freeing all the gods, and they're blessing you with different abilities and powers as you free them all to take on. I think his name is Tarteos, but just from the moment you pick up the controller to getting deep into the game, it's just that this game never. It just keeps amazing me, whether it be the puzzle structures or just the missions, the fights, the platforming. They just done amazing job, and I guess I wasn't expecting some of the things that occur in this game, and I've been loving it. I've been playing it. I got it for Christmas, and I haven't put the game down. The reason why I can't call this game of the year is when it released late, and by the time I finish the main quest will be in 2021. So I won't give it that, but right now, currently, it is my favorite game, and so far it is my favorite game that I have played throughout the entire year. So sure, Last of Us has been my game of the year for a majority of 2020, and it earned its game of the year nominations and awards that it won, like in my head, and then of course publicly got a ton of awards. But Immortals Fenyx Rising, in terms of my favorite game of 2020, it came as the biggest surprise. I like it better than I like Valhalla, and I love Valhalla. Obviously, I like it better than The Last of Us. It's a complete different tone. You can't compare it. But it was just a different game, and I know the game gets hit for being, too much like Zelda ripping off Breath of the Wild for certain things. But the thing this game has that Breath of the Wild doesn't is decent dialogue, a plot that's easy to follow, interesting characters throughout. What the game takes from Zelda is the things that the Zelda allowed you to do, whether how you interacted with the environment and some of the puzzles. There's definitely some inspiration there, and Immortals offers the same thing, and they added more substance to it, and I've been enjoying the game. It's been my favorite game so far of 2020. I can't name a game that I enjoyed more than Immortals this year. Like I said, The Last of Us, like I said, I dedicated an entire 6-day stream to that game. Valhalla, I just put so much hours into it because I kind of just fell into that trap. Immortals, the hours that I'm putting into this game is just hours of me wanting to put into the game, wanting to explore new things and finding new things that make my mortal or soon to be demigod much better. They did an incredible job with this game, whether it be the humor, the voice acting, the combat sequence, the dungeons. There's a whole ton in this game, and it's very approachable. It's available on all platforms. Kids can play it because there are easier modes, like story modes, like the easiest, and then they got easy and then normal and then hard, and then there's going to be like a super hard one that you can do. It provides just enough challenge. It's a different game from a lot of games on this list, but I did not expect this game to be my favorite game of 2020. It just kind of just happened, and as I was putting this video together and capturing gameplay, I messed around and started playing for over an hour and a half. I was like, crap, I only wanted to get gameplay for this video here, and I ended up playing progressing more, and all I wanted to do was ride on a horse and slash up a few enemies, and here we are with some incredible gameplay for the game. Immortals Fenyx Rising is my #1 game of 2020. Last of Us is my game of the year by default. Hopefully this game next year, due to its release, gets some nominations for game of the year, because it is a damn good game, and I recommend it. The game's on sale. If you had an eye on this, I suggest you pick it up. It's definitely one of the best games of 2020, and it just happened to be my #1. That's it, guys. That is my list, my top 10 games of 2020. I will see you guys next year. That's all I got. Xbox is the best box, and I am the best bot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. I'm out of here. Peace.